Hello and welcome back to Fallon Radio. In this episode, we are going to be talking about leads. We're going to be talking about growth content and conversion content, which one is going to generate more leads for you, what that typically looks like, which one is going to generate more sales for you, what that typically looks like. And also, we're going to talk about the differences between platforms when you have like Instagram or TikTok, YouTube, etc. So let's dive in. Okay, so I want to bring this to your awareness first that leads are the lifeblood of your business. Okay, you need leads. Yes, there is something to say about your retention rate, your customer retention rate, and you also still want to have the funnel filled and primed all of the time. Like all of the time. Because as soon as you dry up your funnel, as soon as you have no more leads, then you get into a very stuck and dark place. So it is incredibly important for you to continuously fill your funnel with leads. Now, what do I mean by funnel? I mean, when we think of when we think of business, okay, I'm definitely going to make this one a YouTube video because then you could see my hand gestures. When we think of business, we want to reach the most amount of people at the top. And then it's like a funnel. We want to funnel our way down to the few people who are more than likely going to buy from us. Okay. So that's what I'm talking about when we say funnel. Like we want to have our funnel filled. So we want to continuously be bringing in more people into the funnel because if you focus on that top part of the funnel, you will eventually get people who will trickle down to the bottom part of the funnel. That being said, this is where the growth and the conversion content is super important, and having a strategy with this is also super important. And I'm going to share with you exactly what's over here on my calendar so that you can understand what I do, what I'm doing. And I mean, I don't have very much results currently because there's the thing of shiny object syndrome that I typically tend to suffer from. However, this year is going to be different. So once I do get more solid results, then I'm going to share them with you. As of right now, I do have one result that I could think of off the top of my head that did result in a course sale of $97, a digital product course sale. That it was a financial course that I was offering when I paid off over $25,000 worth of debt. It was a $97 financial course. And so I did have 2 purchases, I believe, of that particular course. And I also used this sparingly. Like I didn't use this exact ratio. So we're going to go over that in a minute. Okay. But I want to really emphasize the importance of having leads and continuing to generate leads. Now, the best way for you to not just get more leads in terms of like getting more people to follow you, but actual people who are invested in you, your brand, what you do, what you're about, is to get people on your email list. Now, when you have more and more people on your email list, it is going to naturally be easier to make more sales down the line because if you have somebody who signs up to your email list, you're basically getting somebody who says, yes, I'm interested in what you're doing. I'm interested in what you're saying. I'm interested in what you might have to offer. And I might not buy right now, but maybe I'll buy down the line. I'm a perfect example of that person because I can't tell you how many times I've signed up for an email list and I will literally get emails from somebody for months upon months upon months. And then, maybe they're running a Black Friday deal, which like literally exactly this happened in December. They decided to run a Black Friday promo and I was like, yep, I'm going to buy. Because to me at that point, for the price that they were offering and the value that they were offering, I was like, easy. And I bought it immediately off of email. So it's really important to have your email marketing because even though you're not Crate and Barrel where you're going to be generating 3+ emails a day to somebody's inbox, you do still want to have that touch point with people because that's kind of like, I see it as like pen pal land. Like you're connected and you could make a sale from it and you do stand to make a lot of sales from it, especially in the future. So I want to really emphasize that the metric that you use for leads is not just followers. I want you to really focus on your metric for leads as people who sign up for something that's a little bit more involved from you, like an email list. Not to say that that's the only metric that you have that is indicative of who is going to be a qualified lead. It still would come with subscribers to your podcast, right? Because your podcast is more intimate than an Instagram post. Or it could come from people who've purchased your book, or people who come back and watch your YouTube videos, like your returning YouTube subscribers. It is something to say when you have a new follower versus a returning subscriber or a returning follower, because that returning follower more than likely in time is going to turn into a sale. And so that's why we're going to talk about this distinction between growth content, which is visibility content, and then conversion content, which is more or less sales content. Okay. So, or if it's not direct sales content, then it's leading, it's pointing to the sales. Okay. So let's talk about visibility and then pointing to the sale. So growth content is visibility content. This is where you're at the top of the funnel. Okay. You're going to have the most people see that content, and the most people more than likely are going to follow you from that content, sign up for your lead magnet from that content, follow your YouTube channel from that content. You're going to see a lot of like quick turn on that content. And that growth content is typically like, I'll pull up a direct example for you because then you can get an idea of exactly what it is. So growth content is typically like, here's a beginner friendly way to blank, or these are the things I had to unlearn in order to do X, or the biggest mistake or the biggest missing link with your blank is, or here are 4 ways that you can do X, right? So it's very, very top, like, I don't want to say shallow, but like top of awareness. Like, that your problem is, let's just say, growing on Instagram, right? You know that your problem's growing on Instagram. So how can you get a quick win for growing on Instagram for that problem, right? So 10 hooks to grow your audience faster in 2026 on Instagram, or the 3 types of formats that will help you get more followers in 2026 on Instagram. You see what I mean? It's giving you a quick win, like 3 formats, like maybe it's a reel, a carousel, and then a Instagram live, right? So it's based on your brand, your story, your experience. And it's also super easy for people to consume. And it's also super, I don't want to say educational per se, because educational isn't necessarily the word, but it's basically like giving content. Like you're giving stuff away. Like another one that I even heard today was, oh my God, Piper just got home with Tommy and she's screaming. Another one that I heard today is how to make 50 meals with $20. I don't even know that that's possible, but if you're a nutrition person, if you're a grocery hack person, that's the type of content that's growth and visibility type of content, because people would be all over that. People would be like, I can make 50 meals with $20. How in God's name do I do that? Right? So that's the growth and the visibility content. That's going to get you more eyeballs. That's going to get you more followers. That's going to get you more people to your page. The conversion or the pointing to the sale content is the content that busts beliefs or that basically debunks, right? So I want you to think of something like, here's proof that you don't need X to get Y, or after working with blank solving this problem, I need you to know this is the number one thing that's overlooked. Or I've been doing blank for X years. So like you're kind of showing more proof, you're showing more expertise, you're showing a little bit more like competence, and you're also, you're debunking what people most often think. So you're kind of going through those beliefs and you're shifting beliefs, or you're shifting perspectives, or you're debunking things that people typically hear or say about whatever it is that they're looking to do. So for example, I've been doing online marketing for 6 years, right? I've been posting on Instagram for 6 years, and here's what I need you to know. Or if you were my client and you were having an Instagram growth problem, this is what I would tell you to do right now in February of 2026 to grow your followers to 10K. It's a little bit more specific, right? Like you have a direct outcome. the specific problem, and then I'm the competent, I don't want to use the word authority, but I'm a competent person that's telling you after 6 years of experience, this is what I would do. So like you're inserting your proof, right? You could also use this pointing to the sale type of content as like testimonials. Like, here's what happened when so and so tried my 4P method. And then you're showing that, maybe she got a digital product sale or whatever the case may be. Whatever it is that you do. It would essentially kind of highlight the fact that when people work with you, these are the results that they get. So you should work with me too, right? So now we're not talking about the top of the funnel. We're talking more towards the bottom of the funnel, because going back to what I said earlier, if you have people who are returning to your page, if you have returning subscribers on your YouTube that are watching your videos, more than likely those people are invested in you. They're invested in what you're saying, and they've bought into your message, your movement, whatever it is that you're about. So they have bought into you, they have bought into your education, your knowledge, what you have to say. And then when they start coming back, that's when we're talking about the retention. Okay. Now, that's not customer retention, that's attentive retention. So you're able to now bring people not just into your page, but keep them on your page, which is super important because we're no longer in the information economy. We are in the attention economy, or the creator economy, i.e., when creators can more effectively keep people's attention. So that's where pointing to the sale comes in, because if you want to really generate more, then you also want to keep your people and drive them someplace. You're not going to make the same kind of money from Instagram views that you are going to make from selling your own products. Like, you're just not. Instagram doesn't pay that much out for views. They just don't. It would be nice if they did. It's not like YouTube. YouTube pays a little bit more out for, having the ability to put ads on your longer form videos. And you also have to meet certain requirements in order for you to be able to do that. I've been on YouTube, not necessarily as regularly as I have been this year. I've been on YouTube since like 2017. And I don't make money on YouTube. I make $0 on YouTube. If you were to go to my YouTube channel, they tell you that I make someplace between like $16 and $20. I don't even make $16 and $20 on YouTube. My YouTube videos are literally just a collection of like my journey thus far. And so when you reach on YouTube the two requirements of, okay, you've reached over 1,000 subscribers and then 4 hours of watch time per month, I believe that it is, then you can start to earn. So it's here, I'm going to pull it up right now because then I could tell you the exact numbers. Oh, it's 3,000 hours of watch time for like the subscription memberships. And then it's 4,000 hours of watch time for you to turn on YouTube ads. So like you can earn from the ads on your video. So point being, you're not going to make as much money from just posting content as you would as if you would when you direct somebody to a digital product, which is why I also really enjoy digital products. Now, we talked about leads. We talked about growth versus conversion content. I'm going to share with you quickly the ratios of how I do everything and like how I actually block it out. Now, when I made those two $97 digital product financial course sales, those two sales kind of just came in randomly. There was no strategy whatsoever behind it. However, if I had to do it all over again, I would follow this simply because then I'm constantly filling my funnel if I do this. And not only am I constantly filling my funnel, I'm also allowing for content to be produced that is going to create a conversion, whether it's this week or next week or the week after, or even during my launch week. So the first thing that I do is I look at when I want to launch my product or service. And so currently right now, I originally had February 9th. Obviously, that is no longer true because it is after February 9th. And I still really haven't been pushing anything other than my breakthrough days, which there are 3 left at $1. So if you want it, get one of those 3 spaces at $1. They're only going to be that until those 3 are done. Like, it'll only be $1 until those 3 are done. And then once those 3 are sold for $1, then that's it. It's going up to $300. Okay. For the next 5 slots. So that's really been the only thing I've been pushing this February. So I pushed everything that I wanted to do back to March. So my launch timeline right now is March 23rd is the start of my launch week. So March 23rd to the 27th, I'm in launch mode. And so I decide from that, okay, if March 23rd is launch mode, then, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. Here I am 5 weeks earlier than launch week. So I'm going to be focusing on growth content. And then next week, I'm going to focus on growth content. And then the week of Monday, March 2nd, we're going to start to decrease from growth to a little bit more conversion. So I do it by ratios. Okay. If I post, let's just say, hold on, let me pull up a calculator really fast so that I can give you the numbers that I do. Okay. I post typically 3 times a day. So that's 3 times a day times 7 days. That's 21 posts a week. Okay. Now, if I multiply 21 times 0.7, which is 70%, that's 15 of my 21 pieces of content are growth oriented content from the 16th to the 27th of February. Okay. So everything that I post, 70% of everything that I post from February 16th to February 27th is going to be growth visibility oriented content to get people into my page. And then I post an average of 6 pieces of content per week that are conversion based pieces of content. So pieces of content that are going to maybe debunk myths or get people to kind of have a perspective shift where people are kind of going to be like, oh yeah, I might want to work with her down the line, right? So that's from the 16th to the 27th. It's a 70-30 split. So 70% of whatever total amount of content you're going to post for the week is going to be visibility, and then 30% is going to be conversion. So let's say that you post 5 times a week, right? And then you want to do 70-30% split. So 4 pieces of content would be growth or visibility content, and then 1 piece of content would be conversion content per week. Okay. Now, the week of March 2nd, that changes. I go from 70-30 to 60-40. 60% growth content, 40% conversion content that week. Okay. So you go from 4 visibility posts to 3 visibility posts, and then 2 conversion posts for 5 pieces of content, right? And then the week after, March 9th, you go from 60-40 to 50-50. So 2.5, 3 pieces of content would be growth. 3 ideally would be conversion, but you can do it however which way you want. The following week is 40-60. So now we're going to go from 3 pieces of visibility to 2 pieces of visibility, and then 3 pieces of conversion. And then launch week, it's 30% to 70%. So it's 1 piece of growth content and then 4 pieces of conversion content. So like you can understand that the ratio is going to be 70-30 until launch week. Then once you get to launch week, it flips. It goes to 30-70. And then each week in between, you're working from that 70-30 down to that 30-70, right? So between the growth and the conversion split, 70-30 to 30-70. Then once you have launched, we will do this in a different episode. We'll talk about the debrief. But you're going to ultimately kind of back your way out. Okay. So you're going to slowly back out from 30-70 growth to conversion to 40-60, and then 50-50, and then 60-40, and then back up to 70-30. Because then you're going to continue to get people to convert, but then you're also going to continue to get people to come into your world, right? And you want new people into your world. Now, it's very important also that you decide when your next launch is going to be. Now, I would not recommend more than 4 launches per year. I feel like 4 even is a lot. So take 1 quarter, play with it, maybe even 2 months, play with it, play with that style of growth to conversion ratio, play with that strategy, and then launch. And when you do launch, you open cart on a Monday, you close cart on a Friday. That's it. They can't get any more access to that product. If it's a service product, or even if you're just launching your digital product, like you're not going to actively talk about it in your content other than that launch week. Then you back out of it. And then, you have maybe your stories that you talk about your digital products, right? Where whatever it is that you're pushing that you're selling. But Point being, that 1 week you go hard on selling and then you back out of doing hard direct sales and you go a little bit more into like, oh yeah, I'm this type of person. You're the right person for me. So that way, what you're doing is you're not just collecting leads just to collect leads or growing your Instagram just to grow your Instagram. Now you're turning that into valuable monetizing traffic. You're turning that into business. Okay. So that is the strategy that I was going to share with you, that I did share with you. I'm going to tell you the story about the financial course because it has everything to do with that strategy, where I did not use that strategy whatsoever. I just started posting just to post, and I had a couple posts go uber viral. One of them was about an opinion that I had on Dave Ramsey, and then the other one was something about how I paid off over $25,000 of credit card debt. This was back in 2024, early 2024. And because I was getting so much traffic, I didn't really know how to properly use it or to properly strategize with it. And so when I did end up deciding, oh yeah, I'm going to create this course, then I just made sales when I decided that I was going to sell it. Like it really was, there was no strategy whatsoever behind it. So does everything come from strategy? Like, is strategy the most important thing at the end of the day? No. However, I will tell you that being aware of what you're doing, being intentional about what you're doing is probably the most important thing that you can do. Like it does you no good for you to go super viral and have nothing available. And it also does you no good to have something available and then not know how to talk about it and not go viral either. So like it spans the spectrum when we're talking about leads and conversions, and it also spans the spectrum in terms of what we're looking at in terms of intentionality of creating content and intentionality of creating a business. That's the most important thing that you can do, because if you go into something and you're not intentional about it, then you're going to get the exact same result. Okay. I'm glad we had this conversation. If you're watching this YouTube video, let me know if just the theatrics of me moving my hands helps you understand more down in the comment section. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, I am actually going to encourage you to share this episode. Typically, I ask for rating and reviews. I'm actually going to ask for you to share this episode, because the goal is to get this podcast to reach new heights this year. And I would appreciate that if you found this valuable, take 3 seconds to share it with somebody who you think would benefit from it. And it could be one person, it could be 10 people. I would truly, genuinely appreciate that. I was going to say generously, but that was not the right word. I need to get a little bit more caffeine in my system. Okay. I think, my God. Words. Thank you for tuning in. Please share this episode and we'll talk more soon. Okay, thanks. Love you. Bye.